Well, hello, my Jedi friends. I decide I'm going to do a random live. It's random live time. So I've decided to go for it. I'm going to go for it. We're going to go live. And I decided that I'd put on Lunacy live to see what lunatics turn up. Because we don't want anyone too sensible on here. We just see what degree of lunacy we're going to get today. So until the lunatics turn up, let's set the energy intention. So, as with all of these lives, my intention is for you to raise your vibration, and whether that's through seriously good energy techniques or a bit of laugh, either way works for me. But until the lunatics turn up, let's go down the serious energy route. So, for those of you that are my regular followers, you'll know to ground yourself and to connect with a source of light above your head. That could be a light ball, and to slow down your breathing because your breathing controls your mood. So, we set our energy space before we go into anything. And it's quite fitting that we talk about lunacy, or I'm going to be talking about lunacy on this thread because this energy technique, slowing down your breathing, grounding yourself, connecting with a source of light above, and expanding your energy, works in any setting. It works in any setting, my Jedi friends, because it has been tried and tested. So energy follows thought. So what is energy? A lot of people like to complicate it. Oh, it sounds a bit out there. It sounds a bit woo-woo. And some people like to teach it that way. And they like to teach it in a complicated way because it means that there'll be more for you to learn and there'll be more upsells in courses. But working with energy is actually quite simple. Your energy follows your thought. And if you're going to work with energy, you set your energy space and you switch yourself on. And you switch yourself on by connecting with a source of light and grounding yourself. So you're connected above and below through your grounding cord and a source of energy above your head. It could be the sun, could be the moon, could be the stars, the universal grid, can be your God or the universal life force energy, whatever it is you're into, my friends. It's highly adaptable when it comes to this stuff. So that is how it rolls. That's how I roll, and that's how energy rolls. So we can connect above and below, and energy follows your thought. So let's talk about amplifying that now. Let's talk about amplifying energy. I've talked about amplifying energy. I've got cats running around going crazy, so they're tuning in. As soon as I raise my energy, they start to get frisky. So cats can really feel this stuff. They can really feel. Pets are very sensitive to energy, and that is just a universal norm. So in order to amplify it, you can then do stuff with it. So what is healing energy? So if you want to help someone else, it can be, let's assume that somebody that you love is not feeling very well. So once you're connected above and below, you can then think about them, and by doing that, you send light to them. You can energize them. So some people like to do it through their hands. You don't need to do it through your hands. Using hands is really just a validation for people that are in the room. See, I've got the cat. The cat has turned up. Look, there is the cat. Has turned up for some energy. As soon as I start using energy, the cat gets frisky. See, it always happens, folks. Pets are so sensitive to energy. It's not even funny. I haven't seen her for hours. Like suddenly I start doing an energy live stream. The cat just appears out of nowhere. Just appears out of absolute nowhere because they're very sensitive to energy when we do stuff like that. So that is how we roll. That's how me and the cat roll. They love energy. So let's use that as a benchmark. If you want to test this, do it on your pet. So if you've got cats or dogs or gerbils or hamsters or whatever it is, whatever you've got, the cat's trying to get out now, but she's had enough energy for one sitting. She's going to exit. The cat's going to exit. I will let her out now. I shall let her out of the room. She'll probably be trying to get back in at some stage. She'll probably be looking for that. But yeah, once you're connected above and below, you can then just visualize light either coming through your hands or coming direct from your body and just going straight into just through the cat. So if you put your hands on the cat, they'll feel that. They usually zone out. They love it. Pets are so sensitive to working with energy, and it can be a lot of fun to do that, my friends. So there's something to work on. You can energize your pets, my Jedi friends. That is how it works. That's how energy works. So simultaneously, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to amplify my energy field. And how do you amplify your energy field? How do you do that? Oh, and look, we have a Jedi in the house. We've got Ladies Love Chronicles. Hello, my Jedi lunatic friend, love and light. Well, love and light to you, Ladies Love Chronicles. Thank you for joining me. And you can join me in amplifying the energy field on this live stream, because that's how we roll. That's how we roll. That is how we're rolling tonight. So I've just had the pets came in. The cats started getting frisky after I started. I started this live stream. Let's raise the frequency, baby. Absolutely. So this is actually a good segue to talk about amplified energy fields. So if you get a group of people, and they don't necessarily need to be healers or energy masters, you can guide people to amplify their energy in a group. And this is why sometimes you'll go to events when you meet like-minded people and you'll come away feeling absolutely energized. If you spend time with good people, with like-minded people, your energies will raise together. Especially a bunch of empaths. If you get a bunch of empaths or healers together and they spend time together, they'll all feel energized at the end of it, because that is how energy works. But in the world of energy, we have drains and radiators. Drains and radiators, my friends, and you all know the drains. There'll be certain people, it doesn't matter when or where or how you run into them, you'll always feel drained at the end of it. And they tend to be depressives, narcissists, psychopaths, all of that. And the worst kind are the narcissists, because they do a good job of pretending they're on your side and raising your energy and then absolutely smashing it down as it suits them. So we're going to show you, how to raise your own energy. That's what this is about. And we're going to amplify the field. We're going to set out the force. So the reason I talk about Jedis, and what's interesting with the Jedi theme, is somebody emailed me that's been following me for over a year and said, I finally understood what the Jedi friends is. Now, in my world, I thought, well, surely everyone gets Jedi friends. I understand that reference, but it's taken somebody 1 year to wake up to what I'm actually talking about. So let me simplify that before we go on. So I make reference to Jedis because most people, more people than not, will have watched Star Wars and understand the concept of a Jedi Knight, somebody that's sensitive to energy. So there's certain people here on this planet that are highly sensitive to energy, that are empaths, that are channels, that are here to hold space. And they will quite often feel lost because they'll probably be in dark corners holding, surrounded by lunacy a lot of the time. But in the same way that some big network needs, they need, say, if it's a telephone network, you need pylons everywhere, all over the world. It's the same with empaths. To raise the vibration of the planet, you need them all over the world. So they'll always be surrounded, usually be in dark corners. Some people can get very isolated. So Ladies Love Chronicles says, I've been establishing boundaries surrounding protecting my authenticity is very empowering. Well, fair play to you, Ladies Love Chronicles, because that is where it's at. When people say, what is it about what you do? Like, most people are sensitive to energy, most people are highly empathic, have very fluid boundaries. Now, in certain situations, that can be a bonus. But when they get into relationships with, say, narcissists, or there's narcissists in the family, narcissists specialize in violating boundaries. So it tends to be a later life lesson for people that are sensitive to energy to develop really clear boundaries, really clear boundaries. And that is a later in life lesson that people get to learn that have been sensitive to energy. I can certainly, I mainly speak from myself here. So after spending a whole lifetime of being flexible of moving my boundaries, of accommodating people, of dropping things to help other people out. And often, I mean, not often, it's not fair, but frequently would feel drained at the end of it. That I do stuff that I didn't necessarily want to do because I wanted to help people. But what I realized later in life is that if I'm doing stuff like that that drains my energy, I'm not serving the bigger purpose, the bigger picture of humanity by not valuing my own energy first. And that actually it can be quite a selfless act to learn to say no occasionally. So, Ladies Love Chronicle says, and of course they are narcissistic. Yes. Well, you will know this. You will know this, that empaths usually have to attract narcissists into their world because you need to develop clear boundaries. And it takes a lot of, let's just call it what it is, abuse, or people tramping over your boundaries to wake up to the fact of how important boundary setting is. And that actually allowing people to tread on your boundaries is not good. So, I mean, I've got a friend now, and having been through this myself, he's just split up with his narcissistic partner. And whenever she does something, he'll say, right, no, I don't want, contact me through a third party, or stop contacting me or doing that. I'm like, you're teeing yourself up for lunacy. All you're doing is telling her what she does need to do. If you tell a narcissist what they can't do, then they're going to go and do it, because narcissists won't be told. They have no boundaries. They have no boundaries. Oh, look, because we're holding energy space, it's cat number 2 has turned up. Look, cat number 2. And look, my Halloween cat. She's my little black one. So there's a little beauty down there. Come for a bit of energy work. The cats love energy. They just absolutely love it. So there they go. Let's see. Ryu. Hey, buddy. Absolutely. So we've got a bit of feline energy in the house. It's funny because I've been here all day in the house, apart from going out for a little walk earlier, and I hardly see them unless it's feeding time. And as soon as I start holding the space doing energy work, like both of them now have come up to me, and she's trying to get out. She's exiting the room, so I'm going to let her out now. She'll probably try and get back in a second. But cats are really sensitive to energy, as we were saying earlier. So yes, that is the case. Having very clear boundaries is a life lesson for most empaths. It's really, 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 really important. And I can't really emphasize that enough, because narcissists will just keep violating more boundaries. You give them boundaries, they just love trampling all over them. And the only way really is to switch off. Now, in his case, he's stuck now because there's 2 kids involved. So this is what happens. The narcissist will weaponize the kids and use them as collateral, including, it's got so messy. They're being forced to make statements in the family court at the moment that are complete lies and fabrications to say that he's a Nazi, effectively. It's incredible, some of the lunacy that goes on with narcissists, what they'll be prepared to do. And they don't care about the well-being. Oh, look, the cat wants to come back in. No sooner as she's gone out, she wants to come back in. So narcissists don't care. They don't care about anyone else's energy. They don't even care about their own kids being caught in the crossfire. And that is the problem, because the empath will always be thinking about the well-being of the kids. The narcissist doesn't care. It just sees them as a weapon. And that is the way that they roll. So Ladies Love Chronicle says they want to get in and in on the frequency like a moth to a flame. I've only had success recently with this process. It was quite the journey on the previous path. Well, most empaths will have like brutal tales of being caught in relationships with narcissists. They are like moths to a flame, because empaths have to learn boundaries. If you're an empath and you haven't learned clear boundaries, then the universe will just keep upping the level. It's like playing a video game. You complete one level, and then they give you like an increasing boss level narcissist at the end of each chapter. And if you don't learn boundaries, they just keep upping the game. The game just keeps up, and you just get increasing levels of narcissism arrive on your doorstep until one day you wake up and you think, absolutely no. That is it. That is it. It's time for a timeout. No more. I'm not having any more of that nonsense. And this is the game. Most people that are sensitive to energy have to go through that. So boundaries are the key for sure. They certainly are. I mean, it really is. If I'm to simplify what we do, working with energy, part of it is learning the techniques, and part of it's learning how to use energy to help create those boundaries. Because if you don't have healthy boundaries in your life, then you're just open. It's like going sailing on a ship and pulling out the plug at the bottom. Now, I'm sure most ships don't actually have a plug, but the point being that that's what it's like. It's like boring a hole in your ship and hoping that it makes it to the other side. It's lunacy. You've got to have really clear boundaries in your life, especially if you're sensitive to energy. And especially if you're a healer and an empath, because the default setting, as it was for me, was to help anyone and everyone. That I used to love, I still do, still love helping people. The only difference between me now and me before I learned all of this stuff is that I'll only help people if I feel good within myself to do it. So if someone's asking me to go and help them, and I need help, or I need to reset my energy, or I need a timeout, or I need a break, I prioritize my own needs first. And that really is the main differential in the journey here between the empath that hasn't learned the lessons and the empath that has. Because serving other people's agendas without serving your own first is a nightmare. It is a nightmare, my friends, and it will just lead you to feeling not only drained, but resentful as well. And if you're feeling resentful when people are asking you for help and you're going and helping them, you're bringing the wrong energy into it anyway. So this is why it's so important to learn to say no occasionally. I'll give you an example. One of my friends who's married, like he works pretty much 6 days a week. Well, he works 5 days a week. The sixth day he has to do stuff because he's a teacher. So he has to do catching up. So there's one day where he's got to do all the marking and stuff like that. So he gets one real day off. And so often, the agenda of the day off is dictated by his other half, because she doesn't get to do anything with him for 6 days. So sees it as her day, and sometimes he just wants to chill and do his own thing, and that can create friction as well. So it's difficult. It is a difficult one. So let's have a look. It seems like our ships have plugs, lol. Yes. I have learned that no is a complete sentence. That's it. You don't need to explain it. You really don't. In fact, great communication, less is more. Great communicators don't need to waffle, and they don't need to explain themselves. And that is a life lesson for the empath. It is a complete sentence. So, especially narcissists when they're gaslighting you. You said you would do this. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, you're lying. No, I didn't. That's it. Just no. Just being very clear about your own boundaries, being very clear about where you're coming from, and being very clear about the energy you're bringing into the game. So that is part of energy. A big part of energy work is learning to respect your own energy and your own boundaries. That's almost half the game, I would say. The techniques, they're easy to learn. You can learn energy techniques in a while, but learning how they actually operate and the principles of them and how they impact you and affect you on a daily basis, that's a very different style of game. That is a different game, my friends, a different game. So there you have it. There you have it, my Jedi friends. So there's been a bit of an explanation as we've held the space for you to increase your energy, which is really what this is about. And we've obviously been lunatic proofed on this one, because I haven't had much lunacy in on this thread. So it's obviously that time of night. I've obviously got the pre-witching hour thing, or people, or all the real lunatics are watching football or something like that. So yeah, I do know that there's a game tonight, like England are playing in about half an hour, so they might be preparing. I might be watching all the preamble to that, or watching some football game, going easy on the algorithm. But it does feel like we've covered quite a lot with energy space and setting things up. But certainly, learning your boundaries, learning how to enforce them, learning that you've got to respect your own energy first in order to energize more people or be a better healer is a big part of the journey, my Jedi friends. So hopefully you will take that from this video. Take that from this video and you will have benefited, because boundaries are where it's all at. A lot of the work I do one-on-one is about setting clear boundaries. Setting clear boundaries, and those that are sensitive to energy are terrible at setting boundaries. And I hear this a lot. I hate having difficult conversations. This is about getting very comfortable with difficult conversations, especially when someone violates your boundaries. Because if you're sitting there hoping that one day that they'll just suddenly get it and stop doing it, then that's a delusional game, my friends. You have to be proactive in this instance. So that's where it's at. That is where it's at, my Jedi friends, and I shall leave it there for tonight. And I should probably go and watch some football. There you go. I'm going to go watch some football. I'll watch the preamble and see if we can get a good defense. So football is quite relevant because you need a good defense, especially if you're in against narcissists. And occasionally, it's not bad to have a good attack as well, because sometimes you've just got to give it out. You've got to see if they can take their own medicine. And of course, you know that a narcissist definitely can't take their own medicine. That is part of the game, my Jedi friends. It's part of the game. So, particular thanks to you, Ladies Love Chronicles, who's been my sole contributor to the chat tonight. It's obviously a time where the Jedis are not out to play right now. The Jedis or lunatics. Maybe they're waiting until the moon is more full. Maybe I'll do a little live later on. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but this feels like a good segue to sign off. So, my Jedi friends, I just want to thank you for joining me tonight for this thread. I may, as I say, do another one a little bit later, but I've got some football to watch in the interim. I'm going to be watching some football. That is going to be my evening for a couple of hours from now. And I may see you afterwards, may do some sort of short. But either way, my friends, stay energized. Take no nonsense of anyone, and keep your boundaries very clear. Do that, my friends, and you will be in better shape to move forward. All right, folks, thanks for joining me. Take care. I'll catch you soon.